Yes. So happy Easter. Yes. So as I look around, I see we're all adults, and I am assuming this is not our first Easter experience. Many of us were raised with the idea of Easter and the resurrection. So this Easter Sunday, a day of resurrection, is a day of life calling itself back into life again. That beautiful cycle of returning to life, always, always, always. Life doesn't end, transforms but doesn't end. This day of resurrection is a day of transcending, of the passing away of our human self and rising to the awareness and consciousness of our divine self, our true nature, as they would say in our Buddhist friends. It's a day of recognizing the eternity of our spirit and calling us ourselves to live from that high consciousness, our divine true nature. So today is an invitation as well. Today is a day of returning to love, that power and presence of love. It's a day of recognizing that all roads lead to love. So no matter what path, no matter what it looks like in this human world, all leads back to love. I believe that in my heart. It's a day of remembering that love is the power that we are endowed with. It is our birthright. We are gifted that, just as Jesus was gifted that. And it is that power that we use to draw to us and us to all that we need to make manifest our life, the life of our choosing. We recite each Sunday that we create our lives, we co-create our lives by the activity of our thinking. So love is that power that draws to us everything that we need. Those moments that we often see as serendipitous. Oh, by coincidence, people showed up in our lives that we needed advice from or help from, or experiences happen, and we say, oh, serendipity. That's the power of love. That's the love of drawing to us what we focus our thoughts on. And today we are reminded that love is indeed a practice, a lifelong practice, over and over and over again. We are gifted opportunities to love one another. The ones that are easy to love, and the ones not so much. We have many opportunities to practice love. We have heard that the resurrection story over again in our lives, and it is a beautiful story. I'll share it with you today from Mark chapter 16. When the Sabbath was over, Mary Magdalene, Mary, the mother of James, and Salome brought spices so that they might anoint Jesus' body. And very early on the first day of the week, just after sunrise, they were on their way to the tomb, and they asked each other, "Who will roll away the stone from the entrance of the tomb?" But when they looked up, they saw that the stone, which was very large, had already been rolled away. As they entered the tomb, they saw a young man dressed in a white robe sitting on the right side, and they were alarmed. "Don't be alarmed," he said. "You're looking for Jesus, the Nazarene, who was crucified. He has risen. He is not here. See the place where they laid him? But go tell his disciples and Peter. He is going ahead of you to Galilee, and there you will see him just as he told you." Trembling and bewildered, the women went out and fled from the tomb. They said nothing to anyone because they were afraid. And we add that she, Mary of Magdala, went and told those who had been with Jesus and who were mourning and weeping. When they heard that Jesus was alive and that she had in fact seen him, they did not believe her. On this Easter Sunday, we're reminded yet again of the evolution of the consciousness of the Christ. We're reminded of Jesus evolving to the risen Christ. And he serves as a perfect example for us to follow, for us to emulate, for us to make manifest in our own lives. The transformation of our human consciousness of this secular world to our spiritual consciousness, our higher awareness, the truth of who and what we really are. We move from those lower vibrational thoughts and feelings of anger, of resentment, of fear, to those higher vibrational thoughts and feelings of acceptance and equity and love. We transcend our human thinking to spiritual thinking. And we recognize that we have the ability, that we have the power, and we have the responsibility not just for what is happening in our life, but for how we respond to what happens in our life. So it's all in how we deal and how we view and what we make of what happens into our life. This evolution affords us the capacity to live into the commandment that Jesus gave his disciples. And after sharing the bread and the fruit of the vine, we hear Jesus say to his disciples to go into the world and love one another. Just as I have loved you, now you go and love one another. For the world will know that you are my disciples by your love. Love is our calling card. So what does this evolution look like? And the life of Jesus teaches us that we can call ourselves into that beginning, being born as Jesus of Nazareth, born to Joseph and Mary. And when Jesus was born in Bethlehem, the shepherds came to keep watch. Kings came bringing gifts of gold, the richness of spirit, frankincense, the beauty of spirit, and myrrh is the longevity, the endlessness of spirit. Jesus did know that he was more than his physical form. He knew that, more than his personality, just as we are more than our personality. He knew that he was energy and wisdom and understanding, that within him was established that Christ's potential. Jesus knew that. Jesus was our teacher and our way shower, and he evolved into Jesus Christ. The Christness of his being, not a name to be called out in anger, but his divinity. Jesus, the Christ, the perfect human, not just in form, but in the idea of God as that perfect human. He's the expression of that idea, just as you are. Jesus demonstrated his divine nature in all that he did. He's an example of how we too can demonstrate our divine nature. As Jesus Christ, he was fully aware of his oneness with the divine. He got that. I and the Father are one. He was the divine. He was the I am, as well as that man from Galilee, that perfect human. And that evolution continued to Christ Jesus, living now solely from his Christ consciousness, not just aware of his divinity, but embodying that divinity. He lived from his Christ consciousness, relinquishing his sense consciousness. He expressed his faith and his understanding. As Christ Jesus, he knew that he knew, not just thought, but he knew that he was God in human form, that God had breathed him and made him manifest in this human world as God's self. And when he was crucified, it was his personality that died on the cross. Christ Jesus is the pure example of divine nature. And today we celebrate the final phase of that evolution to the Christ, that which is risen today. That Christ no longer is encumbered by the flesh. Pure energy, pure spirit. It's the consciousness of spirit that Jesus attained, that we seek, that we strive for, that we desire to emulate, that we try to live in that potential for perfection. The Christ is that divine idea that is in you and in me, in all of us. It's our spiritual unity with the infinite. So we must look deep inside ourselves for that Christness. We won't find it out here in the world. We might bump up against people to remind us of our Christness, or call us into our Christness, but we won't find it there. That Christ is within. For that is your true essence, your divine nature. It is your spirit of holiness and perfection. So today we too rise. So I ask you on this Resurrection Sunday, how do you rise?
Today I rise as an upholder and defender of the victims of oppression.
Today I rise as dew to the soil of the human heart.
Today I rise as the sun in the heavens of bounty, a gem on the diadem of wisdom.
Today I rise as a joy to the sorrowful.
Today I rise as a balm for the suffering, a tower for strength for the fugitive.
Today I rise as a sea to the thirsty.
Today I rise as a haven for the distressed.
Today I rise, and integrity and uprightness distinguish all of my task.
Today I rise as eyes for the blind, and the guiding light unto the feet of the erring.
Today I rise as a pillar of the temple of righteousness.
Today I rise as a home for a stranger.
Today I rise fair in my judgment and guarded in my speech.
Today I rise as an ornament to the countenance of truth, a crown to the brow of fidelity.
Today I rise, and I am a treasure to the poor and an answer of the cry of the needy.
Today I rise generous in prosperity and thankful in adversity.
Today I rise as a lamp unto them that walk in darkness.
Today I rise unjust to no person, and I show meekness to all.
Today I rise as an ark on the ocean of knowledge.
Today I rise worthy of the trust of my neighbor, and I look upon them with a bright and friendly face.
Today I rise as a fruit upon the tree of humility.
Today I rise as a breath of life to the body of humanity.
These beautiful words that you have just heard are adapted from a writing of the Baha'i faith. And today we rise. Today we rise some way, somehow, as something. We rise as an expression in our world. We get to choose today how we rise and what we rise to. How we move in our world. Today, we get to choose how we live our Christ nature in a world that's calling, begging, and weeping for more of that Christness. So we get to go and be that. So today we rise as a shining light. Resurrection is more than an annual event on Easter morning. Resurrection is a choice. So for those who experienced and participated in Lent of releasing something over the last 6 weeks, I trust that we simply don't go into the way things were before Lent and pick up that habit, that thought, that word, that behavior that we worked these weeks releasing and letting go. I trust that we will all keep what we took on through Lent in the goodness and remembering the goodness of who we are. But when we forget, it's good for us to know that resurrection is not just for today. Resurrection is for every day. Resurrection is for every hour, every moment, every thought. So when we slip into that oh so very human thinking and feeling and acting, we can always rise again with the next thought, with the next word, with the next steps we take. Resurrection is breath by breath in a conscious choice to remember who and what we are and to move in our world from that Christ consciousness that is us. There is nothing that Jesus did that we are not able to do. And Jesus himself said, "These things that I do, you shall do also, these and even greater." So we remain steadfast and we welcome the experience of the crucifixion, of what doesn't serve us, what is not true, those words that are judgmental towards ourselves or towards anyone else, those actions that are not compassionate towards ourselves or anyone else. And we can let those things die away and we can rise. We can rise to a higher way of being. So let's commit to carrying our transformed and transcended selves into the world as the power and the presence that is love. And we remember the words of 1 Corinthians 16:14. Speak them with me. Let all you do be done in love. Namaste.